There are several principles that guide our thinking when it comes to cognitive dissonance theory. The first of these is that the internet can help to solidify whatever attitudes we are holding. One of the great things about the internet is that we can find information about just about anything out there. And one of the drawbacks of the internet is that we can find information about just about anything out there. And so no matter what it is you believe, you can find affirmation for your opinions or habits somewhere out there on the internet. And this brings us to the idea of selective exposure. Selective exposure happens when we are limiting the sources of information that we are allowing ourselves to read. And so if we know that source A generally has this opinion that goes against what we believe, while source B generally has the opinion that we believe in, we might choose to only read source B and ignore source A because source A goes against what we believe. And so this selective exposure can create echo chambers of information, which just helps us to reduce our cognitive dissonance, but can lead us into a lot of misinformation. Another principle of cognitive dissonance theory is that cognitive dissonance can alter people's behavior. And this was a really important tactic in a lot of different advertising campaigns. One of the most famous advertising campaigns that used cognitive dissonance was actually by Hallmark, the card company. And in their advertisements, they had the tagline, "When you care enough to send the very best." This created cognitive dissonance in the minds of people who were not sending their loved ones Hallmark cards. Because the phrase says essentially that if you are not sending your loved ones a Hallmark card, then you don't really care about them because you're not sending them the best card that you can send them. And so people who weren't sending Hallmark cards said, oh, well, that must mean I don't care about my loved ones, or at least that's the goal that Hallmark was trying to achieve. And so cognitive dissonance can act as a sort of guilt trip and cause a lot more people to say, buy more Hallmark cards. Typically, dissonance that targets people's insecurities are usually going to be the most persuasive. I like to think of the proactive commercials that you see on television all the time. They are targeting people's insecurities by saying that people should feel free to be confident and beautiful and all of these really strong adjectives, while sowing the seeds that having acne makes you less confident and less beautiful, and therefore you should buy this product to achieve that consonance, right? To get rid of that cognitive dissonance. So if we're targeting people's insecurities, that's usually going to be the most persuasive and get people to act faster. One of the things that we know to be true about cognitive dissonance, however, is that we simply can't predict how people will choose to reduce their dissonance. Some people are going to choose to completely dismiss the old information that they had and adapt the new information. Others are going to reject the new information in total and go on believing their erroneous thoughts. And so we have no way of predicting whether people are going to choose comforting lies or unpleasant truths. Sometimes using cognitive dissonance can actually backfire on us by reinforcing an undesirable attitude in the person that we are trying to persuade. So we really just don't know how people are going to react, and so we have to use cognitive dissonance in our persuasive messages very, very carefully.